Hey everyone, this is my mother, Linda Lewis, and what day is it in a few days?
It's going to be Mother's Day. In Mexico, it's going to be Saturday and Sunday, and it's going to be Mother's Day in the United States and in Canada.
So I think about Mother's Day in terms of you mostly, and you're a wonderful mother. What does Buddhism say about mothers and how that should inspire us?
Well, I'm about to teach a course on Tonglen, and traditionally, one would start the practice by contemplating one's mother or grandmother, because when we're newborns, we're helpless, and we rely totally on someone nursing us and taking care of us.
Totally, we're so helpless when we're little babies.
Yeah, it's true. And we're more helpless than animal babies. But nowadays it has changed, and you can really begin the practice of Tonglen by contemplating anyone you love, anyone that you care for.
And can you explain briefly what Tonglen is?
Tonglen literally means sending and taking. So the practice is that you send out love, compassion, health, joy, sanity.
Like it's a meditation practice, and you think about love and joy and all that you just said, and you give that away.
You give that away, and you take on whatever you perceive as being sickness, anxiety, trouble, depression, suffering of all kinds. And the reason why traditionally it would start with one's mother is because the mother is an example of someone that gives unconditional kindness to her little baby, and often it gives, pays so much attention to the child. It's much more than she is able to pay for herself. It's really an example of selfless love.
Right.
But you can. Fathers also have really stepped up these days, and so it's not like how it was in the 50s and 60s and so forth.
Right.
So one can also begin by anyone who is cared for one. That would be totally appropriate. It could even be like an older brother or, an aunt or whatever. It doesn't have to be one's mother. And it can be any loved one, frankly.
Yeah, and your Buddhist teacher, Trungpa Rinpoche, said, in the West, people have a more difficult relationships with mothers, so you can, like you were saying, you can think about anyone who's given you unconditional love.
Right. I'm glad we didn't have a difficult relationship.
No, it was ordinary difficult sometimes, just being a kid and we were very sweet. Yeah. You were great.
You spoiled me. But anyway.
But once I was 15, I irritated you more.
15 and a half, to be exact.
Yeah.
Anyway, the practice of Tonglen is different than usual meditation. It's always preceded by basic meditation and ended and concluded with basic meditation. So Tonglen is a meditation that involves contemplation, which is really different. But you still use the breath. So you're still using the breath. On the out breath, you're sending out peaceful white light and kindness, free from suffering. And on the in-breath, you're actually inhaling and taking on what you perceive as being the problematic aspect.
And given that the world is so full of toxicity and fear and anxiety and busyness and stress and conspiracy theories and all this crazy stuff, why on earth would anyone ever want to breathe that stuff in and breathe out generosity and love and peace and kindness?
Well, you start out slow, and you flash absolute bodhicitta first, which is key. And absolute bodhicitta is a sense of space, which is also like the true nature of mind. And that's very empowering. Pema Chodron talks about how you then become like an air conditioner. You're plugged into this vast bank of limitless energy. It's not you taking on this stuff, but you're plugged into unlimited resources. And then you can just limitlessly send out, and you find out the more that you can take on, the more you can give out. So the more that you can take on. But you also start slowly. You start with one individual that you want to practice for, that you love, that you wish were having an easier time of things. And then you progress to neutrals. Those may be like a neighbor that you say hi to but you don't really know, or the checkout girl at the grocery store, who you always say hi to but maybe don't have a clue about what their life is like.
And you're doing this all the time. Whenever I travel around with you, you're
Yes.
like talking to the people at the bus stop. And
Yes.
you're just always being friendly. You love talking to cab drivers.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And so anyway, and then toward the end of the practice, you include those individuals that irritate you or that you perceive to be problematic. And then you can, always in each individual instance, the one you love or the neutral or the more challenging, difficult people in one's life, you can, in each place, you can expand that out to include all the irritating people, or
Right.
all the loved ones, or
And-
all the people that you rub up against but you don't really know.
And then your heart gets bigger.
Yes, your heart.
And you get joy from
Yeah.
being kind too, right?
It's true.
Don't you get, in a way, you get refreshed by being kind.
Exactly.
And connecting with people's basic goodness. And that's the opposite of what our ego thinks, which is if we're stressed out, we need to close down and
That's
watch
right.
Netflix and eat ice cream, which can be good sometimes. But we think we need to take care of ourselves, which obviously we do on a fundamental level, but we actually can extend ourselves to others with kindness and get inspired by that. Like when I'm almost depressed, if I go to the cafe, I connect with other people, I cheer up so quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just
Yeah, Tina said, it's almost the exact opposite of what she was thinking. Like Tonglen reverses the flow of ego, right?
That's right.
Ryan says hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a nice surprise. I can't
But why are
see
you
anything.
talking about Tonglen, in relationship to Mother's Day?
Well, because as I said, traditionally one would start with one's mother.
Right.
But
In the Buddhist tradition.
In the Buddhist
You would
tradition.
start with the thinking about how your mom was unconditionally kind.
Yeah.
As Ryan's mom was too.
Hi, Ryan.
So what else about mothers and motherhood and Mother's Day? I mean, how would we celebrate it when I was growing up with you? Would we?
Well, we didn't
I was a
really.
kid.
We were a team, the two of
Yeah.
us, and so in a way, every day was Mother's Day. We
Right.
didn't really celebrate. Although I remember once, it was so sweet. You'd entered this contest. It was some kind of coloring something and then writing a poem, and you.
Oh, at the library?
I might
I
have been.
remember
at the
I
libra-
won for a poem at the library.
Yeah, I think there were. Yeah, I might be merging two things. One, you did a coloring, and you were really a little boy, and we submitted it to a florist shop or something. And you anyway, it wound up being that you won, and I got some flowers. And then the
Aw.
library contest, you wrote a 4-line, something
Yeah.
about a deer in the snow.
Yeah, I still have it somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. Keep it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the prize involved, but you got a prize.
I remember I got a green journal, like a pretty
Nice.
green and gold journal,
Yeah.
like to write in. But yeah, I mean, every year I've written about you and Mother's Day, like for 20 years. So I feel like with Elephant, but I feel like, the best thing on a very simple level that you ever did for me, beyond like keeping me alive and feeding me, and which is important, was you made me think I could do things. Like you made me think I was intelligent. I remember you
were.
always, but you always like taught me that I was intelligent too. Like I just remember you sort of I feel like good teachers and parents always do this. They encourage you to think you can figure something out.
Yeah.
And, we're all just as intelligent as each other, basically. But some people get encouraged and some people don't. And if you get encouraged, then you have the confidence in your vulnerable ignorance when you're like, oh, I don't know what to do, to figure it out.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm smart. I can figure this out. And you did that with me.
And also, just encouraging critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
Like we would have conversations. I said, "What do you think about this?" And
Right.
so you'd it was interesting. It was and fun. And I think also my grandmother did that in her own way. My grandmother, had a different style. She was very
What
stoic.
was her name again?
Ida.
Ida.
But as I taught you how to read, my grandma Ida taught me how to read, and then she'd be very quiet, but if I would nag her, she'd finally say something insightful. Like I remember my mother and everybody I knew was voting for Ike. I like Ike, so I thought, oh yeah, and he looks like a nice man. The pictures and
He was
on the button. I was young. I must have been younger than 7 because I was still living with my grandma, and my grandmother wouldn't talk about it. And finally, because how kids are persistent, she confided in me that she was voting for Stevenson.
Stevenson.
Yeah, but she also told me that how one votes is not anyone else's concern.
Yeah.
I can just hear her say it. And it's not about getting on a bandwagon, It was just like really, it was so Grandma Ida. And I don't know how to explain how she was. She taught me how to shell peas, and sew on buttons. And she was always delighted if she dropped a needle, I could find it. She said, "Oh, what good eyes you have." Little things like that mean a lot to a child.
Yeah.
So she was really the one that did most of the raising of me the first 7 years of my life.
Yeah, you love her.
Yeah, I really love her. And my mother did the very best she could, but she was a single mom and was working long hours.
Right.
So, I would see her mostly on the weekends.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, some of the things I've written about you is I appreciate that you gave me a love for nature and a love for sort of politics in a way, like not being, nasty, but caring about, our environment and decency and honesty and, I don't know, just caring, like you walk around, your town, wherever you live, Halifax now, and you say, oh, they should be doing this, they should be doing that.
Yeah.
Like contributing to the community and caring about history and, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I still, have all kinds of ideas and, because of so-called progress, most of them get shot down, but I still make a little bit of noise.
Yeah.
Like I really wanted them to
Advocacy.
daylight the stream that goes from the commons.
And they still haven't.
No, they're putting it underground.
Oh.
Yeah, they had a great opportunity. That would have been the perfect time because they had to redo how it was underground, and instead
They could have had a stream that's been there for hundreds of years, if not longer, no longer be beneath the street.
Yeah, that's what you call daylighting the stream.
Yeah.
And oh well.
They blew it.
Yeah.
All right, well, I love you, Mom, and happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, thank you.
Almost. So, anyone who has been unconditionally kind to your life, Mother's Day is for them. And hopefully that was your mom. And if not, if you had a difficult relationship with your mom or worse, then what? Do you just kind of honor and feel that and try to do better in your own life?
Yes, and there are really good people in life, who, when you develop loving kindness for yourself, even though you haven't perhaps received it for yourself, you can, once you develop that loving kindness for yourself, you can find that in someone else. And that can be the person that you care for and that you love, and that, if you were to be, do a Buddhist practice like Tonglen, you could start the practice with that person.
Like in your case, it's your grandma, probably.
Often my grandmother.
Who you think about on Mother's Day.
Yeah, and my mother too, because
of course.
I know, she did her very best. Yeah.
But that connects back with politics. Your mom couldn't show up as your mom all the time because, as that mother figure, because she was working and
long hours.
Providing.
Yeah.
And if we have more free childcare in the U.S. and provided health care and all these things, then parents could be more available.
Yeah. In Canada, they have both a leave available not only for the mother but for the father.
Right. Yeah, in Europe, they have tons of maternity
Yeah.
and paternity leave.
Yeah.
So I don't know, is Kelsey, are you still here? I saw you just joined. So that's the other mother in my life. And yeah, I'm excited to celebrate with my wife for the first time this year. She's the mother of Leo, a very cute, handsome little 5-year-old. And yeah, and we hope to have a family someday. There's Kelsey. So we were just talking about Mother's Day sort of from a Buddhist point of view, but also just personal experience. How do you like to celebrate Mother's Day? What would your ideal Mother's Day look like if we were celebrating you?
Aw. Well, I love connecting obviously with my son, Leo, our 5-year-old. And I also try to reflect on just my journey as a mother and, you know, kind of the role of mothers in the world, which I think you two were just talking about is often so underrepresented and under-resourced and, or maybe overrepresented in theory, aka a $5,000 incentive,
Yeah.
but actually under-resourced and no
Yeah.
childcare support and things like that. So yeah, I just love reconnecting with the essence of motherhood and what it means to me and how it feels in my body. And you know, for me that means a lot of cuddle time with Leo, and I love spending time with Yue and Linda. I wish I were there with you guys, but
Did
I'm
you?
glad that Wei gets 2
Yeah.
Mother's Day times.
Sorry, did you tell Leo about Pope Leo?
Not yet. I'm about to go walk and get him from school.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be very thrilled.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just Mother's Day brings up so much for each person, and whether it be your biological mom or whatever caregiver was the mother role in your life, there can be a lot there. So I let my mom know how thankful I was for her a few days ago because she's going off grid into the Grand Canyon, I guess, for the week. She should be there now. But yeah, I think honoring each part of our relationship with our mother or mother figure, and then yeah, just what it means to me personally as a mom. And then I was just telling Wei how lovely it was growing up making gifts for mom throughout the week at school, and feeling like it was the first time the flowers were fully in bloom and everything is really coming to life. I have a lot of positive experiences with Mother's Day, so who knows? We'll probably start our own tradition soon, perhaps.
Yes.
We just got told that this is
You can walk down to the living room. Would you
a
like?
place where we're not supposed to talk.
Do you want to walk to the living room?
Yeah.
We're going to go to the living room because we're being naughty, being on phones in the middle of
Not you two.
a Buddhist meditation center. Yeah, we're rebels. Look, this is my mom's meditation practice or meditation class that she's teaching this weekend.
Oh, beautiful. I can't
Yeah.
hear about it.
Yeah. All righty. Well, this was a good little Mother's Day. My two favorite mothers in the whole world. A good little Mother's Day conversation. I'm excited to celebrate Mother's Day with you. We won't go into more detail about that, but that'll be very, very fun and meaningful because I'll get to celebrate with my mom, like sort of the same day, I guess, Sunday. Here's mommy. Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, Kelsey, it's so good to see your beautiful face, and Mom, thank you for talking about
Pleasure.
Buddhism and motherhood.
Yeah.
May we all
You too,
honor
both.
and support mothers far better than we're doing.
Aw. You two are sitting in the place where we had our friendly roasts for the
That's right.
wedding.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. The rock.
Yeah, your dad was right up here.
The garden. Garden.
That was
inside,
great.
The indoor room.
Okay, enjoy the rest of pre-Mother's Day week, and Way, I'll see you for post-Mother's Day week. Love you both.
Bye.
Thanks for the impromptu.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.